Alrighty, good morning, friends. Hope you guys doing well. Happy Monday. Welcome back to the stream. Pull up chat. Where are you guys? A bunch of good mornings. I love it. Feeds me energy, man. I have not been sleeping well like the last week or two. So I need the vibes, guys, today. Yeah, okay, so real quick. I think I'm gonna do this from now on. Any time I remember when I set up the stream, I'm just gonna do I'm gonna put a little song request thing in chat. So if anyone's early to the stream and wants to request something, if I get a minute to, like, you know, double check that you're not trolling me with something ridiculous, and I like the song, I'll play it next stream to start off. We'll do that once in a while, so you know, if you're early, I might play your song. Dog still going at it at night? Yeah, I mean, last night was because I don't like holding overnight positions. I actually haven't done that majority of this year. And with all that was going on and the trade that I took yesterday, which I'll go over, it was just a little bit, you know, like you wake up every couple hours, check your phone. It was one of those kind of nights, and woke up at, I think 5. We were trading at like 102. And I was like, all right. And I just kind of got up. So I've been up since then. Maybe like 4 hours of sleep last night. Doc Plan 3, rejection from value area low. It's looking like it so far, yeah. So you've got, I mean, we can just get straight into it. I'm going to cover it anyways. Might as well get started. You know what's funny is, actually, before we do that, when I first started streaming and the viewership started picking up, I tried to keep the streams as organized as possible. And the longer I've been streaming, I feel like the more laid back it's gotten. I don't know if you know, that'd be actually good feedback from you guys, whether you're enjoying the more laid back approach or you want me to be like super strict and like just be no nonsense serious all the time. I enjoy just kind of like kicking back with you guys, especially when it's a good combination of chat asking like fantastic questions that gives me an opportunity to share stuff. And just, you know, being silly and stuff. That's the best way to stream, I think. Helps me not burn out too, because last year I burned out pretty hard at streaming. I was like doing twice a month and stuff like that. Can you show whether what you're looking at to check whether a move is spot driven or perp driven? Yeah, it's a basically agger. It's basically agger. So if you have a template on aggr.io. If you're unfamiliar with that, you gotta kind of set up your own template. Lucky for me, I just stole Magus's. He had it all set up. He did all the nerdy stuff, and I just took it from him. But yeah, I can run through Agger a little bit, sure. Okay, so yeah, let's start talking about Bitcoin. So anytime I want to talk about where we are, I like to start with how we got here, right? I think it's important to say how and why we are in the position that we're in to provide context rather than just saying, here's a level, here's what price is doing at the level, right? I think that's too lazy of an approach when it comes to trading. So how did we get here? I don't really want to do the whole rundown. We'll just talk about more recent price action. Hopefully you guys have been watching the streams week to week, so you're all very familiar with how I'm seeing the market, what my thoughts are on the market, you know, what tools I use to call certain things and stuff like that. So we'll start with number one. When we got to range high, we got absorption, right? We had a very strong attempt to break out. There was a lot of buying at range highs. There was a lot of effort that was going in. This got stuffed. One thing that I love to teach students is anytime that we're getting high effort moves into points of interest that are providing no productivity, we'll get to the alert in a minute, that are providing like no productivity, meaning that effort is not being rewarded, it's very likely that price is going to revert in the other direction, right? This could be a sign of exhaustion or absorption. So you get some of these signals up at range high, very strong point of interest. You start speculating, hey, maybe that's the end of some momentum, right? The confirmation here, right? If you want to be a trend trader and just bet on the trends that are carrying you from range low to range high, one of the best ones that did this was the 12-hour trend this time around, right? Extremely strong. basically held from the entirety of our Pico bottom all the way into the new all-time highs. The minute that we lost 12-hour trend, look at the character shift of the entire market. Right, there's people that held out hopes and bullishness for a lot of this. I myself allowed myself to be bullish on this daily trend reclaim. Right, I said, okay, if there's any possibility that I'm incorrect on my thesis, incorrect on this market ranging longer, it's going to come from here. Right, the next time you get absorption at the highs, the next time that you fail to hold at the highs, the next time that you fail to put in trending market characteristics, which are holding above value, trading off the 4-hour trend, putting in higher lows, maintaining these expansion candles. Anytime you fail to do anything that would resemble kind of a bull market approach, all it does is tell me that we're either catered to a range-bound market or a retrace, right? And that's pretty much what we've gotten. So that brings us to where we are today. Obviously, we've been ranging. Obviously, we've been chopping. We don't care about altcoins right now. I just want to focus on Bitcoin. We have traded in this value for about 2 months. Not quite 2 months. Maybe you call it 6 weeks or 7 weeks. Doesn't really matter. It's been a pretty damn long time, right? May 8th is when we made it up here to 100 and 405K. We've basically been chopping around, going sideways ever since. Now, we are breaking down from this value a little bit, right? Anytime that we have very strong effort moves, like the one that we got, and I showed you guys a few minutes ago at range highs with the daily candles, that fail to cause continuation, it's either going to lead to chop or reversion. So we're getting a similar kind of candle down here where we had very, very high effort on Sunday, a big breakdown, high volumes, big expansion. And since then, bears have not really had a lot of momentum for continuation, right? They haven't had the strongest will of continuation. They kind of ran out of steam on Sunday. They ran into some walls, and we got a little bit of initiation, especially on the perp side. And a lot of this bounce has been perp driven. There's been a little spot support, but a lot of it has been like aggressive perps. So where we are now is a combination of two resistances, two core ones. We call it 3, we call it 4, but I'm going to use 2, right? One is going to be the 4-hour trend, as you guys can see on your screen, and number 2 is going to be the composite value area low. We want to get cute with it. We can talk about the February high, right, which was kind of our first whipsaw high right here before everything fell to shit, right? The daily trend was lost. This is our big bounce. This is where we start rejecting the daily trend. I think it's a very important level. And the other one would be the monthly value area low. So if I just pull up the monthly so you guys can visualize it. Actually, let's do it over here. Right? Basically, flat monthly, trading below it over the past, week or so, not even a week, a couple days, we've been rejecting it, right? We're once again at the weekly value area low. Right, so multiple overlapping resistances here. We're also dropping into yearly value. We're tagging the top of the yearly value area high, tagging. We're dropping inside now. So I think this is inevitably leading to a breakdown. That's my bias right now. TLDR, right? All that ramble, all that preamble was to say one thing. I think we're leading towards a breakdown. Now, what the caveat is if for whatever reason bulls can break through 102.4, it's probably going to lead to a bigger squeeze. And that bigger squeeze will take you somewhere in the middle of this value. I do not think that squeeze will probably take you to new all-time highs, price discovery, trend continuation, whatever. I think that squeeze would just be a squeeze, fail to get bullish continuation, and probably break down again, right? It would be kind of like, one of these moves where we're kind of whipsawing, below value, back in value, whatever, not really leading to anything. So that's how I'm trading it this week. Bias would be down. I closed 75% of my long. I'm keeping 25% to see if we can kind of consolidate here, compress, and put in one more push. If we do pop up here and you want to trade to the downside, I think there's a lot of altcoins that'll present opportunities to short kind of lower highs into lower lows. The last thing would be the daily 100 or the weekly trend. Another possibility for this market here is that we do something very similar to February, which is we're holding the weekly as support. Let me actually do this on the daily so it's easier to see. Holding the weekly as support, holding the daily as resistance, get into an extreme compression. Right? That's another very, very, very strong possibility here. I don't think if we failed, right, to put in a very strong squeeze off of this first test of the weekly trend, I don't think you're going to want to bet on it the second time or the third time or the fourth time or the fifth time to give you that Giga Chad move, right? As we always say, I think many traders have said the same thing, is first test, best test. Second, third, fourth, fifth tests are going to be much more structural, right? They're not going to give you the best reactions out there. They're not going to give you the God candle V-shape recoveries like we got over here, right? First test of this range low, V-shape, right? First test of this weekly trend definitely pays to be bullish and look for that big bounce. And we got like about a 4K bounce. So I'm pretty happy with that. I think I have the P&L card somewhere in here. Who knows? Who cares? But yeah, that's where we stand. Any questions on Bitcoin before we continue? I don't see a lot of questions in the chat. I think a lot of people are just very quiet and paying attention to what I'm saying, which is fine too. Yeah, good mornings, everyone. Make sure I'm live. I'm not talking in the void. Okay, cool. Super strict at the start, Bitcoin overview, and then silly. I think that's the best approach too, Zach. I think get the meat out of the way, right? Make sure that we stay focused for Bitcoin, the outlook, game plans, everything, and then we can move on and then do Q&A and stuff, right? That's why I always try to leave altcoins for later. Paying attention and bookmarked. Fantastic. You can always rewind. So Sanic says, missed the first bit. Did I miss anything important? You always miss something important. Just rewind the stream. Watch it on 2x. You'll catch up faster. Like the stream. Yeah, I appreciate you if you guys hit the like button. Would be awesome. Lost it all already. Are we talking about Bitcoin or are we talking about your portfolio? What do we lose? I mean, the week is pretty bearish. Now we held the weekly highs at 104.5 and now closed below. Looks grim. Probably goes to 93. Yeah, we're getting to the medium time frame stuff in a bit. We wanted to talk about low time frame, how we got here and everything. Jaggers, do you still doubt the 9-month range? We still doubting the 9-month range, bro? Are you on my side now? Did I recruit you to the team? Tell me you're on my team now. I never click like, so we keep the alpha to ourselves. Someone ban Jingo. I need a mod in here. Ban that guy. Get him out of here. Just kidding. Okay. Do you think we drop to 99.6, then move towards POC at 104.5, then eventually drop to 93? So you're asking if we're going to put in a higher low into a higher high at this point. So the possibility of that happening is if we repeat something like this, right? If we're going to have this value and we're going to bracket out in this location, meaning we'll tag and reject the daily trend. We'll come back to the weekly trend. We'll tag, like, if we bracket out here before the next kind of markdown, then yes, I think something like what you're kind of describing is possible. That would not be my leading scenario though. My leading scenario would be very simple, right? 4-hour trend, composite value area low here. Let's focus on this first, right? We can say, you know, right? I wouldn't make the plan of like, okay, this is going to reject here. We're going to set a higher low. Then we're going to set a higher high. Then we're going to set, like, I can't predict 4 moves in advance like that. Let's just focus on the one that's here. Just like we're focusing on the one that's here. Just like last week, we focused on the one that's here, right? One step at a time. Make your plans for what's in front of you. Execute on that well, right? And then we can move on to the next thing. Yeah, it's good to have medium time frame, high time frame plans and speculate on this could happen next, and that could happen next, and this can happen next. But I can't really give you this 3-step plan of we're going to trade at this price, and then this price, and then this price. And my suggestion to you, you know, take it or leave it, would be don't waste your own time trying to do that, right? Yeah, maybe you want to think about some plans, but doing this fantasy of you can predict 3 moves in advance is very, very difficult to accomplish. And if you get it right, you may put the wrong conditioning in your brain to think that you can do that again. Do you think you could just like predict price? So yeah, As of this morning, this looks like a pretty strong rejection. 4-hour trend is bullying. You know, it's still bearish market structure. All these things are true. I do think bulls want to hold above like 104 at this point. If we start retracing, we're trying to test support again. The next move is probably going to be weaker. It's probably just going to all fall apart. If bulls want to try to attempt this squeeze, you know, I think this is the location to try to put that low in. How would you trade the first test when you do? I mean, it's just the mentality, right? The mentality is this is our point of interest. We're dropping sharply. I'm talking from the long side here. We're dropping sharply into the point of interest. Can I get any execution triggers in this location? Do I see any exhaustion, absorption, initiation, anything like this that get me interested to say that I'm correct in my thesis that people are stepping in here and I'm not the lone little pleb with my $200 wallet catching a knife, right? That I actually have people in here that are giga chads that are either failing to break price lower from this location or are initiating, counter trend moves from this location. You jump onto the back of that. So it's the same signals whether you're trading intraday or intra-week, high time frame, low time frame, whatever. Like it's the same kind of concepts and ideas, right? The only thing what I'm saying about first test, best test is that the expectation, the EV of testing a location the first time should give you a strong bounce, especially if you've kind of dropped into that level with some like velocity, right? Very thin moves into a point of interest will give you the biggest bounces. If those bounces set lower highs, the next time you visit this location, it's not going to give you the same bounce the second time around, most likely, right? Then most likely the second time around, you're going to need structure. Let's break a trend. Let's set a higher low. Let's SFP the lows, like whatever, right? It's going to have to, you're going to need something more structural the second time around. Hope for Bitcoin Nuke to give a $28 hype. I'll talk about hype in a minute. I think whatever rally hype's putting in now is a lower high or right shoulder or whatever you want to call it, right? I think it put in its top, it distributed above the top, and this whatever bounce is coming is a opportunity for people to de-risk, take profits if they miss the first opportunity to take profits, or short if they're bearish on the market and they want to short. I think that's a good opportunity there. Please talk a bit about the execution of trades. I suck at execution. That's one of the things that I don't do live, right? I try to, give as much sauce as I can, discretion, nuance, ideas, game theory, psychology, market plans. Like I try to give a lot of stuff away on the live streams. Some stuff I want to keep in house because some stuff I work on, right? Like to find an edge on low time frame execution or anything like that. That requires me to sit here and get things wrong for several weeks and several months until I find stuff that works for me. And then when I find stuff that works for me, it would be kind of dumb of me to just tell the whole world, right? Hey, this is what I do to be successful repeatedly. But I do share some of that stuff. I just don't like doing it on the public streams. My ENA long is getting destroyed. That's tough, man. I want to de-risk everything I have, waiting desperately for one more push so I can sell them. Any chance one last push? I mean, this is the push, bro. Right? Like, Sam, I think you've been watching my streams for a little bit. You're a name I recognize, Sam Raj. So, if you've been watching my streams for a little bit, I've given you the warning signs for a month now, right? We've talked about this high. We've talked about the discretionary approach of not caring that much about the daily trend because we have not tagged the daily trend the entire way up. We've front ran it the entire way. So why would I now want to bet the house here when we have not shown it respect the entire way up? The more important trend was the 12-hour trend, right? It's not a trend that I normally use, but when this is lost, it very clearly shifts the market structure from a trending environment to a ranging environment, right? The character of the market has shifted. We're going from front running to running liquidity, right? A bunch of things have shifted. We've built a composite and all the altcoins have topped, right? If you're looking at total 3, you're seeing what did total 3 even do? I think this is something we used to talk about in the streams a lot, several months ago. We haven't really paid attention to lately. I did a doodle like this in February, I think, right? Months ago. And I said, we'll probably just range here for a long time. And that's kind of what we're doing, right? So if you wanted to de-risk, I think you had a couple opportunities to. For me, like if you read the thread that I put out over the weekend, the thing that happens first is altcoins put in like, if okay, so let's put it to this way, percentage wise. If an altcoin's gonna drop $100, right? Let's say an altcoin's gonna drop $100, and this is their, you know, pivot high, right? From a risk on to their pivot low and a risk off. Altcoins have this tendency of putting in like 60 to 70% of their sell-offs before Bitcoin even starts doing its correction and its nuke. Then when Bitcoin starts doing this, altcoins only really have 30 to 40% off or left, right, to put in. This is for good altcoins, by the way. This isn't really for, this is, I would say, like B tier, A tier altcoins kind of do this kind of thing. Hyperliquid is probably going to act a lot more like Bitcoin this time around, if I have to guess. So where we are, like Bitcoin's in its correctionary leg. So I think altcoins are already here. If I have to look at something and give you an example or something like FARTCOIN, right? I want to buy in this location, like 60, 69, something like that, right? Right at the weekly demand. I kind of think I put this tweet out somewhere in May. This would be the location that I would want to be looking to be bullish on FARTCOIN. So where we are now, we're already closer to a bottom than we are at top. So you're kind of late to the perfect sells and just kind of like begging for a bounce. That's, you know, you're just hoping there that the market, you know, gives you an exit. I don't know if that's the highest EV thing to bet on right now. I don't doubt the 9-month range. It's just you said a 45% move was just a range, made you sounding like Prime Trader XO. I mean, it is. It literally is, brother. I don't know what to tell you. Maybe we could just agree to disagree on semantics. Who cares? I was just trying to poke some fun at you because I remember that conversation we had in here a little while ago. Also only 30 likes. Yeah, hit the likes, guys, if you can. If you want. ES looking much stronger than Bitcoin. Would you recommend focusing more on crypto when Bitcoin shows clear signs of being stronger than ES, like for 70K low previously in the year? Let me read that again. ES looking much stronger than Bitcoin. Would you recommend focusing more on crypto when Bitcoin shows clear signs of being stronger than ES? Okay, yeah. When you're saying that Bitcoin's showing relative strength and resilience against the S&P kind of selling off and correcting, yeah, I think that's a really good strategy for sure, right? So look at ES now. Where is ES coming into? It's coming in back into all-time highs, coming back into resistance. I think it's very natural here to be looking for a correction on ES. I think like 5,700 or something like that, you know, would be your kind of correction on ES. Can't remember when I drew this doodle, but yeah, same kind of concept applies. We're coming up into supply, we're coming up into all-time highs, we're coming up into resistance. A pullback into like 5,700 or something like that makes sense to me. Something in this region, right? Something in the weekly trend kind of region. And then once this correction is put in, you'd want to be looking what Bitcoin is doing, how it looks, and I think that would provide you a really good opportunity to bet on upside and be risk on once again. Congrats on half of CT copying your charts, by the way. Yeah, I had a dude that copied, or he did like a copy pasta, like trolling me. He was doing it a couple times earlier in the week, but his shit caught on, and a couple people were like giving him credit for it. It was a whole shit show, and then everyone started doing it. I saw like 10 people copy pasted my thing, to the point where people didn't even know who the original kind of author was. Tough, but hey, whatever. Hype and FARTCOIN, I think, probably shoulder too. Yeah, sell in May and go away did its thing again. Yeah, I mean it's the same thing every year, guys. Like I come out here and I say the same thing every year. It's just kind of like Bitcoin's not going to do anything for a while. It's going to range for a while. It's marked up. We need to distribute supply. The asset Bitcoin needs to show resilience. It needs to be repriced. The lows need to seem desirable, right? It needs to be a kind of a mental shift of like, yeah, 80K is not that expensive, 90K is not that expensive, right? That fundamental shift needs to take place, and that takes time for it to happen. So yeah, I mean, I said it sometime in January, I think, when I believed that the Bitcoin top was in, when Bitcoin lost its daily trend. This was like back in December. I said the same thing here in December. It took a while to play out, and I was like, we're probably going to tag the weekly, okay? Like, we're trading here, everything's fucked when Trump launches a meme coin. We're probably set to do something like this over the next couple months, and here we are. But yeah, I think the summer chop thing, it's every year. It's every summer. It's not new to us. It's just the same kind of thing every year. What EMAs are the daily trend? Someone want to help out my boy Imran? Bitcoin nuking? Yes, only pray for exit. This looks like a very bad price action. Why do you not prefer the daily 200 EMA on FARTCOIN? Is it because of Bitcoin's view? Yeah. So Timothy, that'd be the discretion there. Is that like, yes, this is at a point of interest. I even think that the listing anchor, not the listing anchor, the anchored from the lows is very interesting. But ultimately, I don't think this is a bottom structure. Like this doesn't look like a bottom structure. This was a location that I was looking at, like turbo sending some longs, and when we were getting to this location, I only just bought. I bought 95. I didn't sell the Pico top of this. I sold when they started breaking back down. But from here, it needs to like bottom out, right? We need some kind of momentum loss structure, some bottoming structure, some effort coming in, Bitcoin looking bottomed, rounding out, building out a range. Like the classic bottoming signals, I think, are more important here. The weekly trend is something that you want to bet on, or the daily trend for that example is something you want to bet on when it's like in an uptrend, right? Kind of like in an uptrend on the daily, uptrend on the weekly, and then you maybe you break, you tag the weekly, and you continue. Let me give you a really good example of something doing something like this. Pepe, right? So, trading on the 4 hour last year in March, losing the 4 hour trend, tagging the daily, losing the daily trend, tagging the weekly, but still in an overall uptrend, right? Tag the weekly, continue. Look at all the strength and resilience and bottoming that formed here. You didn't even need to catch the wick. All you need to do is wait for this to compress in volatility, break above the 4 hour trend, you have a gap to the daily. You want a TP here? Fine, right? You can bid on the 4 hour again in validation for like there's structure that forms here. FARTCOIN needs to prove something like that to me if I'm gonna take that bet. I don't want to just kind of blindly throw the entire fucking house at it because it's at a level, right? I don't have that kind of conviction in FARTCOIN to do that. I had that conviction in Pepe, but it was also Bitcoin was much lower back then. It was a lot easier to do that back then. You mentioned selling a coin if it loses a speculative premium. How do you know when that happens? Gut feel. Idea gets consensus. Targets get higher. You want a healthy amount of skepticism in any type of rally. If you were around in 2023, 2024, remember Solana's rally from $10 to $200. I would tell you, even me, as someone who bought Solana at $11 and $14 and $23 and stacking SOL in that little mini range during the bear market, during that crab, even I was mind blown that Solana is going to go to fucking $200 in this one rally, right? I was in disbelief. I was like, this is too much. It's going to have a correction. Like, I need to start selling some here at 60, right? I was doing that. That's complete disbelief. The speculative premium being gone, or like the thesis being completed or whatever that is, when that disbelief is gone and everyone just kind of agrees, like, yeah, this thing's going to $100. This thing's going to $200. Like, there's no realm of possibility where we don't go higher. everyone's willing to buy the dip. Everyone's willing to buy the asset. Everyone agrees on the value of the asset, right? That's the speculative premium being gone. You want a healthy amount of skepticism and a rally of people being like, this is stupid. This asset's stupid. Why is it going up? I hate this, right? How we saw, Solana and ETH maxis fighting during its rally back then. You mentioned, okay, I already read that. We buy hype at 28 and sell at 100. Boom. There's your $100 target for hype. The only useful thing crypto guys made. I forgot what I was talking about. Be glad they copied you. Yeah. All right, let's get caught up with chat, and then I want to give a shout out to Telemetry for sponsoring the stream, and then we'll continue from there. Any tips on trading X timeframe and using Y and Z timeframe for confirmation, and how to filter out the noise via invalidations of plan, aka varying order blocks, FEGs, MAs, etc.? Okay, so you're saying, like, for example, any tips on trading the 4-hour time frame and then using the 5-minute and 1-minute for confirmation to filter out noise that invalidates the plan, aka varying order blocks? Yeah, I mean, this is the way that I do it. You make your plans based on levels. Those levels can be EMAs, they can be horizontal levels, they can be weekly order blocks, VWAPs, right? Anything, right? It's something that the market is respecting, something that is holding up well, right? And an asset will show you if it's a good, an asset will show you if it's a good EMA trender, if it's a good VWAP trender, if it's a good order, price action coin to trade, whatever. It'll tell you the characteristics that it's displaying. Then you look for those levels, map them out. And if you're trading 4-hour charts, 4-hour trend, you always want to scope down and see, like for me, when I was trading 4-hour charts, I would always go down to the 1 hour and say, okay, if we're gonna hold this 4-hour trend, we need to break the 1 hour downtrend market structure, right? So for example, right, something like this. If we're downtrending into the 4-hour, we need to break this 1 hour downtrend market structure. That could be a nice trigger for reversion, or continuation, or we need absorption at the lows. So yeah, I mean, scoping down to lower time frames for those executions definitely is important. I was promised joyful June after max exposure May. That's great. Buy at 93 and we teleport back up to 100K. Could be. 93K has, like, I actually forgot to go over this with Bitcoin. So let's go through this real quick. I want to go through, breakdown plans, right? If we break down, okay, so I haven't even looked at this, but yeah, Bitcoin's breaking down here. Look, if we're going to get a squeeze, the first thing we have to do is break the 4-hour trend, right? This is already getting canned in the most obvious location that it was supposed to get canned at, right? Paragon members know that I took profits here this morning, 1025, like literally that candle. It didn't feel comfy. I thought that we could squeeze higher, but I closed out 75% of the position there, from 98K or 98.5K. There was supposed to be something on here. I don't know where it is though. Is there a picture in here? Maybe I deleted it. Who cares? Anyways, let me get refocused. In my opinion, if we keep tagging the weekly trend, it's probably going to give in eventually, right? I don't think that, like, we're going to make this perfect kind of W bottom here. And even if we did, like I said, it would just probably lead to a squeeze. That squeeze would get sold off into. I don't think you're going to get a continuation bid. You'll probably run into supply, and you're probably not going to get a continuation bid. Now, if we start dropping below the daily 100, it opens up the gap fill to the daily 200. Daily 200 has like infinite levels of overlap here, right? We've got, let me pull up the levels indicator, yearly VWAP. We've got, I think, 90-day rolling, somewhere around here. Let it load. Okay, it's around here, right? 95K, 90-day rolling. We've got the yearly VWAP at 94. We've got the yearly open at 93. We've got the daily 200 at 93. We've got our November to January composite value area low. We've got high time frame mid-range, right? Just infinite overlapping levels of support here. This is the most consensus level on the chart, whether you're an EMA trader, a price action trader, a auction market theory trader, a high time frame range trader. Everyone's in confluence here at 93. So what's going to happen? You're either going to front run this level or you're going to blow right through it, which means we're probably going to run up short, or if we get to this level, we're going to nuke straight through it, right? And that nuke doesn't have to lead to acceptance down here. It could be a recovery. It could just be a wick, but I don't think there's a kumbaya moment where we all get to bid 93, hold hands, skip into the sunset, and fill longs and take perfect longs. So just keep that in mind when it comes to 93K as far as a level goes. Everyone was also, this time is different like clockwork. Yeah, it is what it is. I'm now an investor in alts, great. Okay, I'm gonna stop there because it's impossible for me to get caught up with chat. Let me go through and give a shout out to today's stream sponsor, which is once again Bonkbot and their new platform Telemetry. So let's pull this up. Boom, we got it the first try. I'm becoming a streamer, boys. I'm doing it. I'm not fumbling. Okay, so if you guys aren't familiar with this, first of all, they will be releasing pretty damn soon. Let me go to their main page. You can get whitelisted from their platform by signing up. I have a link in the description box below, completely free, obviously. Sign up to the platform. They're rolling out features and shipping like I haven't seen a project do. You guys know me, I don't ever like partner with anyone. I'm basically very selective. I don't do all these crazy things that people on CT do. The people at Bonkbot and building telemetry have really fucking impressed me by how hard they're shipping and how many features they're putting out. I've shared a lot of them with you guys. I just want to go over like the core kind of overview stuff again. Once again, when you sign up and like open this up, the first thing you guys are going to see is this page right here. Not the wallet tracker. We can hide that and come back to it. And it's just going to show you like all the new like contracts rolling out, right? New coins that are just literally being created in front of our eyes, coins that are about to graduate, coins that are graduated. Clicking on them will literally open up their chart just like that. They have, you know, all the classic preset market order, limit order executions here available. You guys can, I'll get to that actually in a minute. You guys can even have like built-in auto strategies for taking profits. Like, so let's say you set a limit order at a certain level. That limit can get set just like a centralized exchange and everything like that. Limit order gets filled, it'll already have TP strats built in, like however you want to TP if you're trading like super low caps, 100K market cap, 200K market cap, you know, if you're out there really trenching and you get filled on like a stink bid and that shit bounces 2-3x, and you're sleeping, right? It'll execute take profits like on its own, which I think is super incredible. And this is the coolest part of all of this. And I think this is a big selling point for you guys to sign up and get whitelisted is when you do, they actually have a built-in wallet tracker here. So you can import everything yourself. Actually, let me turn the volume on. Maybe you guys can hear this. This kind of reminds me of Agar, right? So we were talking about Agar a little bit earlier in the stream, but you can actually hear the executions coming in of wallets that you track executing orders, buying and selling stuff. You can import, I don't know how many wallets, I think like thousands. So I think it's pretty damn cool. And yeah, I think the last thing I want to share with you guys here is like, if you do sign up and you click manage here, it'll already give you the top 100 KOL like wallets, right? You could just import them yourself. And I was actually scanning through this pre-stream to see if I recognize any names. And we have the GOAT here, Unipix, or I don't actually know how to say his name. I just call him Bonkai. But I think that's pretty damn cool, right? You could track Bonkai's wallets and everything like that. One thing that I mentioned about like on-chain trading is like, it's not new, right? Trenching is not new, but I think a lot of people are doing it the wrong way. They're not looking for edges in the market. And I do think because so much of crypto is insider information and bundling and all this kind of stuff, that you want to be following the right wallets to have an edge on chain. Otherwise, you're probably going to continue getting smoked, right? So platforms and terminals like this give you that opportunity to get an advantage, and I think you guys should take advantage of it. So once again, get whitelisted so you can have early access, right? Like you can get it through me. I don't think you can get it through a lot of people. But once again, I appreciate Bonkbot for sponsoring the stream. There's a link in the bio below. Click the link, get whitelisted, get on the platform, and start actually using these things to your advantage, because a lot of people are going to be too lazy and they're not going to do it. So why not get an edge on them until they stop being lazy? Let me give you guys an example. In regular trading and perp trading or whatever, right? How slow are people to catch on? to either trading order flow or using certain signals, or even the thing that I tweeted yesterday. You guys saw my thread on Twitter talking about, you know, the flow of money and how altcoins are always topping before Bitcoin, and they're the early warning sign, and Bitcoin actually pukes later. All these things that I said in that thread was edge that I found almost 2 years ago, and I've been repeating every single time these things happen. And I still get like astounded that when I write those threads, people are like, holy shit, I never thought about it that way. I never looked at it this way, right? So when you find these edges in the market, right, take advantage of them and exploit them for as long as they're around, because eventually everyone's going to get caught on. Doc, I've de-risked and sitting in a lot of stables, but still have bad positions left. I want to de-risk on those for more than a week. And war escalation has put me in an even bad spot. Let me say something to you, and write this down and pin it on your pin it on your wall above your monitor. Sell into strength or be forced to sell into weakness. Remember that. Remember that the next time you're happy about your positions. Remember that the next time they're going up. Because if you don't execute on this, you're always going to sell low. And no one wants to sell low because they're always saying, oh my God, what if this is a Pico bottom and I just capitulated my positions at the absolute bottom? Well, guess how you know that you're not going to do this? Is if you sell into strength. If you get a coin and you sell it into strength. If your goal is, my absolute goal right now is not to trade Bitcoin. It's not to scalp intraday. It's not to do any of these things. It's not to run up a trading account. Actually, my goal is I want to 10x my portfolio. And the way to do that is by buying altcoins low and selling them high. Well, guess what? When your altcoins are going up and you don't sell them and you don't take profits on them and you don't sell them into strength and you don't sell them when you feel that uncomfortable feeling of like, oh my God, what if they go higher? What if I'm paper handsing this? And you don't actually execute on taking profits, you're always going to have to sell them low. And guess what? No one sells them in downtrends because they're like, oh, I'm selling a local bottom. And even if they sell a local bottom, it bounces up a little bit. They feel like shit. They buy it back. And then guess what? It goes lower. Right? So if you don't want to put yourself in these positions where you're holding on to bags that are just bleeding down, sell into strength. Hype next. Okay, yeah, we can move into altcoins soon. Good morning, Nexus. Thoughts on Chill House? Looks good. Send it, man. Was just put on your wait list on Bonkbot. Sick, man. Yeah, get in there. I think they're gonna like make it so anyone who's on my whitelist, like I said, the link is in the bio. You sign up there, you'll get on the whitelist. I think all the whitelisted accounts that sign up today will be on the platform by like next week or even sooner. Let me actually check Telegram and see what they said, because I actually asked them this question this morning. I don't think you have an answer, but I think like the last time I talked to them, they said it's pretty soon. So it's like within the next week. How do you balance selling to strength and letting winners run? Use simple strategies like market structure and EMAs. Like, don't ignore it. Don't ignore when something goes from this for a 10x and then all of a sudden starts retracing back to the last level of support and then putting in a lower high and then putting in a lower low. Like, if you can't time the top, if you can't find the exhaustion points and stuff like that, if you can't tell yourself like, holy shit, Pepe just got a Coinbase and Upbit and Robinhood listing all in 24 hours, I should probably take some profits. If you can't do that, then simply just bet on a change in structure and bet on a loss of trend, learn some simple absorption techniques. Or if you can't do any of that, then just start paying yourself on the way up, man. Take 10% profits every time it goes up, sell something, right, on the way up. And then you could go back on that trade and you'll have another trade. And all you got to say to yourself is like, okay, I made some money. How do I make more this time? And how do I make more this time? Everyone's looking to be perfect their first time around. You need to remember this game's not easy. It's going to take practice and reps, and it's going to take you some time to get good, essentially. My wait time for Bonkbot was pretty quick. How quick was it? I applied last week and got in a few days. Okay, 6. So it's even faster than I thought. Yeah, the classic Jim quote right there. Take profit, keep taking profit. Your generational entries are not generational. Yeah, I mean, that was such a main character quote in the summer of 2022 when he went on Up Only. He said that, and that shit was getting repeated every week on CT. And I think even to this day, like you just brought it up here in chat. Legendary. Okay, let's get into some altcoins. So let's start with Ethereum. I want to do, we'll do total 3. I already breezed over it real quick. Bitcoin dominance, total 3, and then we'll get into some altcoins. So Ethereum here, I mean, it's as simple as this, right? It was putting in a distribution. Where was it putting in this distribution? It's the February composite value, the same one that was so important on Bitcoin right here. That was resistance. When we got back into this and held the 4-hour trend, that was your go signal for the entire market. Let me remind you guys this one right here, right? This was the mega pivot point where resistance, right? Distribution resistance and a big breakdown. We flip the 4-hour trend. We start trading into this. We have a spot led rally here. We've got people chasing. The order books keep getting refilled. The limits keep getting refilled. This is your go signal for markets, right? This is when coins put in like 40-50% pumps in like 48 hours. It was actually wild. So synonymous to that is the the Ethereum one, right? So let's go to Ethereum. Exact same February composite value. This one actually held as resistance. If we were going to be bullish outside this consolidation, it needed to be here. Needed to break above and hold above. The minute this happens, you got to be concerned as an Ethereum bull, right? If you can't even do that, all you got to do is be so laid back and just recognize when the daily trend starts getting lost, right? When we turn into quick stab, higher highs. Okay, we've dropped below it, deviated below it, ran a bunch of lows, new highs, actually full retrace, and we're crabbing in here. Like, you just recognize the strength of these moves waning and waning and waning and waning, and price keeps returning back to the same levels, right? So even if you're super late, right, even if you have to wait for this last candle to break under the daily trend, like, you know what's going to happen next. So from here, I mean, I don't see any structures or anything that I can really confidently bet on Ethereum other than like yearly value area low, which seems kind of devastating, right? 1800. But then again, we built nothing on this entire way up, right? Here's your last kind of demand region. I mean, this is where I would personally feel comfortable bidding ETH, 1800, 1900. It's just so ugly right now, the way that it's structured. The way that I get bullish on this, again, is if we put in a deviation here, reclaim, daily trend comes down, we flip the daily trend, right? We're back in this value, and then we come back to the lows. Will it be this perfect in reality? If this is to form, probably not. But that's the idea. The idea is simply reclaim trends, reclaim support, print the deviation, and try to expand above this yearly value area high, February composite value area high, to put in that expansion move. Okay, that's ETH. Done. Let's go to quickly total 3. I think this one's important. So what we want to do with altcoins now is try our best. It's not going to feel comfy, but try our best to be bullish the next time we get back down to these lows. Now, one thing that's interesting is I was thinking when this deviation printed in April, right, when we kind of got the stab down low and Bitcoin had bottomed, I was thinking that this would be the low on alts. Now I'm not super confident right? That the kind of this low would be in. I think there's a possibility that we actually run this low into last weekly demand, right? I think there's a possibility in altcoins to come back down to 650 here on total 3. Yes, I want to still, you know, entertain the possibility of setting a higher low here. But if Bitcoin's not in a biddable location and altcoins are right here, and I think Bitcoin's going to move down, yes, altcoins are probably going to tag like 650. This is where you want to be bullish, right? This is not where you want to be calling, I think, cycle top and stuff like that. This is where you want to take a stab, you know, grab your nuts and bid here, because you know you're going to be wrong instantly, right? This would be the loss that you'd be taking in order for the reward to be like towards another push towards the all-time highs and stuff like that. So if you're still high time frame bullish on Bitcoin and you think Bitcoin's going 120, 130, 140 in Q4 and stuff like that, this would be the location to want to be bidding altcoins this summer. Yes, the higher low thesis could play out, and this could continue ranging here, and this could be printing the deviation, but the real point of interest to me is going to be this weekly demand. So be watching that location. Okay, let's move to Solana. I feel like I've given the same analysis on Solana because I really don't care about low time frame Solana that much unless I'm trading it actively or have a position in it. I just like focusing on the high time frame. I was opportunistic and wanted to be as bullish as possible in this location right here. Right? Confluence of the daily trend, confluence of the weekly trend, big stab down, right? Big sweep in this location. I wanted to be as bullish as possible and say, look, we are trying to attempt to break out of this 2024 composite value area. We have the trends on our back. We've got a massive run into this area. Let's send it. And what did it do? Left an SFP, big breakdown. You guys know what's up. Now we're back at the lows, right? This is a region Solana's held as support 40 times. I don't know how many times Solana's held 126 as support. It's almost a meme at this point. If Bitcoin rounds out here at the weekly trend, there's a strong possibility that Solana could bottom at 127 again or 126 again. If Bitcoin starts breaking down and making that move to 93 that a lot of people are expecting, Solana's going to come back to 108. I think we're coming back into these lows right here, 108, 109. So those are the two big high time frame levels to watch for on Solana. I don't see anything bullish about this. You know, the market structure's still pretty fucked. At best, it's range bound. At worst, it's in a downtrend, and this is a big lower high. I think there was a big region to punt here to try to look for a bigger move. And when this failed, yeah, it's just all, you know, no point really paying attention to this until it tries to put in a bottom and lose momentum again, in my opinion, unless you're just actively trading it. FARTCOIN. Now, FARTCOIN's interesting. I think there's a bullish case to be made and a not so bullish case to be made. So let's start with the kind of not so bullish one. I think this looks very junky and distributive. Market structure is broken, and I don't think it's fully reset and bottomed out. The most optimistic approach, though, is that this thing continues being a Giga Chad and once again holds the anchored VWAP from the lows, right? Which would be a little bit shallower, 80 cents or 75 cents or whatever. Bottom out here and start to round off. But I think even in this location, if we bounced, we're probably still going to put one more lower low. I mean, for me, it's so simple. Like my plans, wrong chart. My plans are just be bullish on FARTCOIN down here. If the market gives me this, I'm taking it. End of story, right? If I get like 60 or below, you know, just expect me to be bullish on FARTCOIN and pick up some spots slowly. Because I do think this is opportunity. I think the coin has shown that it's retained mind share. When everyone is making money in the market, right? It doesn't matter what you're making money on. Markets are going up. Bitcoin's, you know, trending, whatever. Who doesn't love Dip Wheeler posting, you know, titties and ass all over the timeline every day and saying bounce and all this stuff? Like he's doing a great job of advertising his coin. He's built a little bit of a cult. He gets crazy engagement. The whole FARTCOIN thing with TradFi getting pissed every time it goes up, and they get to meme about it because they're happy and they you know, they're memeing about stuff in markets too. It's just good vibes, right? So if we're risk on again, FARTCOIN's probably going to be strong. The area to bid on high time frame for me is like 70 cents and below, 70, 60 cents, right around there. I don't want to be early to this. I'd rather be late, right? So if I'm incorrect and we actually do bottom out higher, right, and we hold the weekly trend, and we do all these things right here, I'll just be a little bit late, right? I'll wait for the daily trend to come down. I'll wait for the daily trend to be flipped. I'll wait for new bullish market structure to be forming. I'll buy into the higher low, and we can play trend continuation. I'm just personally at this moment not interested in starting to stack super heavily. I'd rather be greedy right now and be wrong and buy higher. And that seems ridiculous to some people that are listening to this. I know that's going to seem like that to you, but in the long run, if you like put in decent risk management strategies, it'll prevent you from absolutely getting obliterated on the times that you're wrong. Let's do virtuals, and I'll come back to chat. So this is also a really strong level that I wanted to see virtuals bottom at, but I wanted to see this like a long time ago. Like I wanted to see this here. You know, when we dropped here in early June, man, that would have been a bang along. A little bit later right now with the way that Bitcoin looks and the uncertainty in markets and my, you know, I would say relatively low confidence that Bitcoin's leading to high time frame trend continuation here. I'm again less willing to bet on this being a Pico bottom and massive pivot point on virtuals. But nonetheless, a super clean level in my opinion to trade off of. Daily 200, 126, a decent level. Shown respect here in the past. This is where I picked up virtuals in May and hit this leg. But yeah. Not doing anything with this. So I'm going to stop there. Let's go back to chat. Nexus, I already answered your question, bro. How many times a day are you going to ask me about Chill House? ETH is at 16 or 618. I don't use fibs in my trading. I use the 0.5 just on the tool to draw mid-ranges. I don't have an edge in using fibs. I don't use fibs. But you know what's funny is the person I was just talking to in chat here, Nexus, if you follow him on Twitter, I'm sure he can give you a lot of really good alpha on using fibs because I know it's a core part of his system. But that's not something that I can comment on because I don't use it. Thoughts on cycle coming to an end? Good question, man. I would say that this is the way that I'm gonna look at it. Market is just a product of positioning, right? It's a product of people buying and selling at the core and the end of it. You have to think about how people who are willing to stick their neck out and live through this and be active during this and look for bottoming signs and be bullish here in 2022 and be bullish here in 2023 and live through this 8-month chop and then live through this chop. You have to understand that a lot of these people have probably done pretty well, like myself included. A lot of people that I know, a lot of my friends, a lot of people that I've been talking to since 2022 have done pretty damn well the past couple years. You know, to the point where buying houses and moving and taking care of families, like, you know what I mean? At a certain point, people are going to be less and less and less willing to stick their neck out and take big risk the higher things go. At a certain point, people are going to go, you know what? Yeah, there may be another 30% left on Bitcoin. Yeah, there may be another 50% left on Bitcoin this cycle or until we get exhaustion. We may get another altcoin rally. There's probably going to be another runner. But what they're going to do is they're going to decrease their exposure. Right? If they had, let's give you an example. If they had $1 in the market and they ran it up to $100 and they withdrew some of that money, they're not putting it back into crypto. They're keeping it in the bank, right? So what I'm trying to say here is most people who have like a couple brain cells take money out of crypto and don't keep it in here. And their risk wanes over time. They want to take less and less risk. They want to be more and more protective. So I think the higher we go, the harder it's going to be for bulls to be irrationally bullish at every single low. At a certain point, the positioning is going to favor people taking profits and selling and closing positions and going out and buying houses and stuff. So just keep that in mind, that the longer a bull market goes on like this, the more likely those things are going to happen. Now that I mentioned that, let's talk about the other side. The caveat, the bull case. The bull case is Saylor literally has unlimited money, and the ETFs literally have unlimited money, and they turn the money printer back on, and the ES just continues a steady stream of an uptrend for another year, and it doesn't have a correction, and there's no FUD, and the markets are great, and people just keep buying Bitcoin, and Saylor just keeps absorbing all of the selling. Every time someone wants to exit a position, Saylor buys another billion, and buys another billion, and buys another billion. That will keep the market afloat, right? That's a dynamic we've never had in the history of Bitcoin, so that's your bullish caveat to this cycle for sure, right? I think last cycle it was this meme, institutions are coming. Well, institutions are here, and they're literally buying the bags, right? So it's a little bit of a different dynamic. So there's your bull case, there's your bear case. Do you consider past alt season to be an anomaly and will only see pockets of outperformance from here on out? I only care about this cycle. I don't care about the characteristics of the 2017 cycle. I don't care about the characteristics of the 2021 cycle. I only care about the characteristics of this cycle. It's the same idea. Think about it this way, guys. If you had a coin that was once bullish and outperformed the entirety of the market, and it went up only, and it was main charactered, and it got a 10x, 20x, 30x, 50x, 100x, right? And for then now the next 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 years, it's doing nothing, and it's underperforming Bitcoin, and Bitcoin has continued to go up, and your altcoin is continuing to underperform, and it's not setting new all-time highs against Bitcoin. Why should we care about this? We should pay attention to the new data, not this one-time data, right? Using that as a metaphor, I would say the same thing about our characteristics with altcoins right now. Our characteristics with altcoins are simply, let's put on the log chart. Let's go to the weekly. What are our characteristics? Our characteristics are Bitcoin consolidates, Bitcoin breaks out of consolidation, altcoins go crazy. A few altcoins will already be showing a lot of strength in the range. Those altcoins go really crazy. Risk starts waning. People start taking profits. Bitcoin forms another range. This is your alt season. Like, you guys need to recognize people have made so much money this cycle. There have been so many runners. There's been so many 100Xs. There's been so many runners across the market. We cannot complain and be like, oh, but there was no like open your phone, you know, put 3 letters into the search bar and buy 100K and wake up the next morning with 140K. Yeah, that hasn't happened this cycle, and it's probably never going to happen again. There's probably never going to be such a silly alt season where like you can open a Scrabble bag like what's his name, Portnoy did in 2021, pick out 3 letters, buy 100K and make money. I don't know if that's going to happen again. But what I will say is there's so much altcoin opportunity, right? Again and again and again. And once again, if this comes down here and the Bitcoin breaks out, you're going to have another alt season. Retired mom by playing that range. Well done, brother. Shout out to you. What do you do if we get another 2022 style bear market? Nothing. Continue trading. Stay optimistic on Bitcoin. Buy the lows on Bitcoin like we did in 2022. I wasn't perfect by buying this bottom, by the way. I did buy right here, but I did buy Bitcoin over here too. I did buy Bitcoin over here too, and then sell it here. I did buy Bitcoin at this wick right here, and then sell it here. Took me a couple stabs. I was kind of new to the markets back here, but we eventually got it. But yeah, I think I'll be much better at timing the bottom this time than last time. Not that I did a bad job. I think in hindsight, I did a pretty good job. But yeah, I mean, we get another one of those bear markets. I mean, what do you mean? What do? We do nothing. Like, we trade. We do the same thing we do. We show up 9 to 5. We trade New York session. We switch our mindset from longing every dip to shorting every dip or rip. We wait for the momentum to wane, the same kind of characteristics that we look for in these microscopic downtrends, right? If we're going to get one of these Chad ones, we use the same kind of momentum divergence strategies to look for macro bottoms, right? The same thing that I always talked about. What helped me actually go all in after FTX was, hey, we were at 17K like 6 months ago when 3AC blew up. I feel like FTX is a lot bigger than 3AC. I feel like this is a much bigger event. How come we're only down like 10% from the 3AC lows? Shouldn't we be at 0? Okay, it's been 1 month in this FTX range. It's been 6 weeks in this FTX range. Why are we not breaking down? That was my first kind of clue in my life as a trader to understand what news absorption was. And that's a technique that you've seen me use repeatedly, right? You guys have heard me talking about this here. You guys heard me talking about this here. It's the same idea. So we'd be looking for the same thing the next time there's a bear market. Your streams are amazing. I appreciate that. Thank you, sir. Thoughts on Bitcoin making all-time high against the dollar and not the euro. So I don't know enough about Forex. I don't know enough about macro to understand that. I don't understand economics in that great of a detail to give you my opinion on that, right? That's me analyzing Euro USD and DXY and all this kind of stuff and rates and yields and all. I don't have an edge there. I don't have any knowledge there, so I'm not going to comment on that. Maybe dumb question, but why does Saylor buy that much? He can't even withdraw it all if he wants to. He's not trying to withdraw it all. You have to understand the Bitcoiner mindset, which is Bitcoin is money. Bitcoin holds a monetary premium. Bitcoin is a store of value. Bitcoin doesn't need to be sold. Bitcoin can be borrowed against. You can use it as an asset like collateral to get loans on USD and spend USD as a depreciating asset while Bitcoin is an appreciating asset that you don't want to sell. That is the ideology behind Bitcoiners, right? It's like buying, like Michael Saylor always says, like buying real estate in Manhattan in the 1920s, right? If you bought real estate in Manhattan in the 1920s, you don't sell that real estate. You hold that real estate, it appreciates in value, and if you need cash flow, you borrow against it. Bitcoin's not a productive asset, so holding Bitcoin is not going to give you yield or income like Manhattan real estate would. So the idea is simply, if it appreciates in value, you're able to take small loans against it, use that money for spending and whatever, investments and funding businesses, and then obviously, you know, you're transacting in fiat and everything in stable coins, but you're storing your value in Bitcoin. So he's not trying to sell his Bitcoin for a profit. Doc, how can I take an ETH short trade at the current levels? Where can I enter? Where should my invalidation be flipping the 4-hour trend alone or something else? One thing I always tell people, if you're having trouble picking out shorts, all you gotta do is flip your chart upside down, right? If you're just like used to longing things and shorting confuses you, just like flip your chart here and ask yourself, okay, if I'm long here, where am I entering? Where am I wrong, right? We're gonna do it on the short side. I'm gonna try doing this quickly. If you are waited for Ethereum to drop 23%, right, before you start entertaining shorts, and you're looking for continuation now, what you're essentially doing is the same thing that bulls tried to do here, right? What did bulls try to do? It's a range consolidation. We attempting to break out. You need to have a very tight invalidation up here. If you're going to get continuation, you get this big expansive move, you want these dips to be shallow. You want to buy these dips into trends. You want to maintain that market structure. And you want to hold your expansion above certain levels. You don't want to retrace back into this consolidation, right? So same idea down here now. Here's your expansion. Here's your bullish market structure. We're showing you the hourly. Here's where the last initiation came from. We're already trading above it, right? So this is already flipping a little bit from a downtrend to a range, locally speaking. You can look at the 4-hour and look at the trend here, right? So we already wicked into our range lows, so 23.12. If you were going to take a short, it would have been here. We don't want to short up here at 22.40 or whatever, wherever price is. The short trade is already kind of dead, right? The trade that you wanted is already gone. You're running local highs. You're into a point of interest. You're tagging range lows. You took liquidity, and you took liquidity on the other side, right? So you already ran from the highs. You ran to the lows. You took this level. There is no short setup at the moment, right? From this local price action. What would be the next short setup is probably if it's more constructive, as in we trade up into here. We put in maybe failed bullish price action, right? Maybe a 3 drives up here, something like that, into a market structure break. We make a over this level. We start breaking down, right? Those are the next triggers you'd be looking for. Right here is not the ideal place to short, in my opinion. US base being bombed. A US base just got bombed? Can I say that on YouTube? Am I about to get like banned from YouTube from saying that? Thoughts on Ina? I mean, dog shit. Where's Ina? Do I even have it? Oh man. Yeah, I don't know, dude. Like at this point, daily trend bearish, weekly trends obviously bearish, market structure is bearish, local lows lost. You're probably heading back to all-time lows. Unless you get back above 2470. Or what is this, 25, call it 25 flat, right? Get back above here, you're still going to have to break the daily trend. Most likely that ends up being another lower high into another lower low. Looks like crap. When Sol blockchain stopped for a couple minutes and everyone cried was my clue for the bottom. I don't even remember what those are. You talking about last summer? Sounds kind of familiar. Do you plan on trading forever or until a certain net worth target? I think it's a combination of the two. I think, so I was thinking this last year, and this is bull market brain, right? So things are going to change, right? Last year I was thinking bull market brain of like, oh, I hit a certain number, I'm done with this shit forever, right? And then this year, like I came into this year being like, I need a break, dude. I've been grinding for 2, 3, 4 years, like nonstop, basically since the 21 top until like, last year, December. It was the most grind I've ever put in my life, right? Most hours, stress, everything. And I was like, I need a break. And I was telling people like, I'm going to take 6 months off. And we got to this year. I didn't even take 6 months off. Yeah. I took a back seat. I chilled out a little bit. I changed my trading schedule. I'm not holding overnight positions anymore. I'm basically day trading. Like yesterday is an anomaly for me to hold an overnight position. Which is why I didn't sleep well. But yeah, I mean, I think I'm going to trade. I probably like trade forever, dude. Like once you find, like, it doesn't feel like work to me anymore. There were certain goals that I wanted to hit and certain things I wanted to happen in a certain time frame and goals for 2024 and stuff like that. But that was stress. That was pressure. As far as trading goes, like as long as I'm still enjoying it and having fun, I don't see why I would stop. I listen to all your streams and absorb all your concepts as abstract ideas and having difficult time putting them together on a trade. It's going to take time, man. You're going to have to practice. I would say don't take everything I say. Take the simple stuff that makes sense to you, right? I display a lot of different concepts in markets, for trending markets, for ranging markets, for liquidity, for low time frame, for high time frame. Yes, I put a lot of stuff out there. But not everything's going to be useful at every second, right? Not every trade's going to apply every single concept, but the best way to become profitable in markets is by simplifying things. Find something that works for you, find something that makes sense, find something that's repeatable enough to appear in markets enough, and just do that one thing. Have the discipline to wait for that trigger. Have the patience to wait for that trigger, have the discipline to execute on it, gather data, refine that strategy, make sure your execution gets better, take notes, improve, and then start adding stuff. right? Get one thing down. Get one thing down. Don't go from one day I'm scalping to one day I'm medium time frame, and one day I'm high time frame, and one day I'm trading liquidity, and one day I'm trading trends, and one day I'm trading this, and stick with one thing. Yes, in Qatar. Fighter jets above Qatar from French and UK. Damn. US base getting bombed is not great. But you're right. Yeah, I mean, the market's reaction to that is just soak that FUD. Unbelievable reaction here, right? Let's see, we got 2.5 hours into this 4-hour close. We're right back into the 4-hour trend. Unbelievable. Yeah, I mean, I think bear positioning gets squeezed hard above 1024, right? Same thing I said to open up the stream. If we can get above this, this will probably squeeze hard, 105s or 106s or something. But once again, I wouldn't really be expecting like, oh yeah, we're gonna get a pullback and then continuation. I think it just lead to more chop. Right, similar to this, similar to all of this. Take a look at the GOAT chart. Isn't GOAT at 0, bro? This is not a coin. Okay, let me tell you something about GOAT. The second FARTCOIN flipped GOAT in market cap is the day you should have deleted GOAT from your watch list. GOAT and FARTCOIN were the same narrative and the same coins. It was all this truth terminal bought GOAT and is bullish on GOAT, started the whole AI agent meta, and they bought one other coin, and the other coin that bought was FARTCOIN. And FARTCOIN is funnier, it was more viral, it got taken over, like it took over everything. And FARTCOIN just started cannibalizing into the GOAT market cap. The minute that FARTCOIN flipped GOAT in market cap is the minute you should have deleted GOAT. Like, this doesn't matter. This is the most relevant coin in the market. Even if it get pumps, like, it's irrelevant. This is the forever top on GOAT. Bled until it happened, pump right after. Yeah, I mean, isn't that what we did on... That's exactly what we did on Saturday night. Saturday night, if I remember correctly, markets were bleeding or something, or they were weak. I was out at dinner at a sushi restaurant with my friends, and then we got the headline that Trump tweeted out that they like bombed something. I don't even remember what the tweet was, but they did some action. U.S. got involved, right? And the markets did this. It wasn't sustained, right? We went lower, but the market took that bullishly, took U.S. action bullishly. Very interesting. The market's taking that reaction bullishly too, right? Again, it's not about the news, it's about the market's reaction to the news. That's always interesting to me. Was 5 days before Sol made a Pico bottom. Got you. What's your view on alt layer ETH based token? I don't know what that is, man. Or maybe I do. Oh, I traded this coin in Q1 of 2024. I mean, I don't have any opinion on this, man. I remember it. The ticker was alt. Why are we bullish on alt layer? Ticker is alt. And I'm pretty sure they gave me an airdrop because I held Miladies and Remilios. SPX, please? Okay. Support be supporting, trends lost. Whatever bounce that comes from here is probably going to be a lower high. Area to de-risk probably makes a lower low. When trends are lost, I marked range high and low on checks. Saw a wick below range low, reclaim. Took a trade on the reclaim and validation of the wick. I still have H4 trend as resistance. Am I correct on my trade? If not, please point out where I'm wrong. So I'm not going to look at the trade yet. I'm just going to tell you. In the example that you gave, you said this. Right? You took a trade. There's your invalidation. That was your entry. It bounced up. It's tagging resistance. What's most likely to happen? So now you got to tell me, I'm not even going to open the chart, is checks in a downtrend? If checks is in a downtrend and it's getting bullied by the 4-hour trend, what's most likely? Most likely is resistance will likely end up being resistance. You have two options for you as a trader. One is bet on the Pico bottom being in if this happened at high time frame support. So super high time frame support, you get a deviation. Yes, you can try to bet on the market structure break, the trend flip, whatever. You can hold your entry, and you can just be comfortable. Okay, if I round trip into a stop, so be it. I was wrong, right? I want to bet on this. But resistance is still resistance. Downtrend is still downtrend. Market structure is still market structure. I can check in a minute. Maker FARTCOIN, very good reactions. I was long FARTCOIN this morning and TP'd into that New York Open bounce. New York Open is my favorite time to trade. So when I get, I think it is literally this puke right here, right into our value area low. TP. That was my trade this morning on FARTCOIN. I mean, yeah, it looks great. I think there's equal highs right here on FARTCOIN. So I would be a little bit skeptical right here. Yeah, I think Magus bottom ticked FARTCOIN. Oh, well, there's the right live. There you go. You got the alert. I think Magus bottom ticked this. I'm pretty damn sure. I had my alert go off at 79, and I actually didn't take the FARTCOIN trigger because I was so locked into Bitcoin. I was like, all I'm going to trade is Bitcoin. I don't care about FARTCOIN. I'm going to make sure I execute perfectly on this. FARTCOIN can do whatever the fuck it wants. And I'm happy that I executed well on Bitcoin. That was my only goal yesterday. But I'm pretty sure Magus in the chat fucking bottom ticked this. I can see alerts, right? Where's my alert on this one right here? Yeah, you guys can see it right there. FARTCOIN crossing 79 triggered 3 p.m. or no, wait, what was it? 9 a.m. yesterday, I think. Yeah, I just ignored it. You summoned him. Boomer only trading Bitcoin. Facts, bro. 95? I think even higher. I want to know the actual statistic. 98% of my trades probably in 2025 have been Bitcoin. I can tell you this confidently. I've never been happier as a trader. I've never had a better work-life balance and been happier to have set hours to lock in, look for trades, execute, close, and go on with my life. Trading 4-hour charts on altcoins is not fun. I did that for years. And yeah, it's great. Yeah, you make money. Yes, you catch trends, but maybe your guys' personality is different, right? Maybe it just doesn't suit me mentally to always be looking at my positions, and I go to the grocery store and open up my phone. I'm driving, I want to look at my phone. I'm out with friends, I want to look at my phone. I want to make sure my positions are okay. I want to check whatever. Because when I'm in an active position and I'm holding it for an average, I think my average hold time for altcoins when I was trading them was like 2 days for 4-hour charts. It's not fun. It's just obviously always in a position, always thinking about it. And yeah, the money is besides the point. It's more about work-life balance for me, and I can't do that for the rest of my life. I was able to Pico bottom FARTCOIN and SPX yesterday. Nice, bro. Love to hear that. Washed old man trades Bitcoin while Charlie trades FARTCOIN. What world is this? It's funny, dude. It's actually funny. It's, you know, I might go back to it one day. It's just not that important to me. As long as the portfolio is happy, I'm happy. Who's spamming the emojis? Whoever's doing that, shout out to you, man. I love it. Whoever's spamming the emojis in chat. Bitcoin about to attack the 1024 level. Let's pull it up. I'm still long BTC. Let's check the okay, this is 10 minutes behind. I don't have live data. But this gets filled. I'm probably not going to bet on continuation from here. Right, we get the squeeze. We fully fill the CME gap wherever this is. Probably this wick is probably the CME gap right around here. We fully fill that. We get into the daily trend once again. That's it. We'll look for the next trade after that. I'm not gonna try to hold this long to fucking, you know, new all-time highs. You forgot about hype unless I missed it? I might have forgotten about hype. Okay, here's the thing with hype. What do you guys immediately see? What do you guys immediately see? Right? Immediately notice that the trend that has carried you from, what is this, $14 to $46 has broken. Not only that, you had a consolidation, an expansion, another consolidation, and a full retrace to the bottom of the last consolidation. To me, this is distribution at the highs. This is the beginning of a range-bound environment. What did I write that on SPX's chart? I wrote this earlier in the stream. Same exact concept. In fact, SPX looks a lot like Hyperliquid to me. So I think the lowest EV bet on Hyperliquid is betting on new all-time highs. You want to gamble on that or you want to bet on that? Be my guest. What I think is more likely in higher EV is that wherever this pumps to is probably going to leave a lower high and is an opportunity to take profits on bags that you forgot to take profits on, de-risk, short, open up a hedge, whatever you want to do, because it's more likely that this is going to cater to a range-bound environment from here on out than a trend continuation one, statistically speaking. It also front ran the weekly trend. So let me give you another example. Oh my God, my charts get disgusting when I stream. Even if you lose the daily trend and you front run it a few times, eventually you're going to tag it, right? Weekly trend can come up, but eventually you're going to tag it. Look at this. Same exact idea. So what are we doing with the Hyperliquid? At some point, this is going to get tagged. This can come up. We can come to range lows. We left equal lows here. We can run those equal lows into the weekly trend. That could be another trigger for another range bound long. That's the way that I see Hyperliquid. Y'all are still spamming the emojis. Insane. Yeah, I appreciate anytime someone asks me about my EMAs and someone responds before I do. I am honestly, from the bottom of my heart, so happy that you guys can do that for me. I'm not going to read your coin show, bro. Actually, two coins have been doing well, right? I think Useless has actually been doing well. Why not? If the coin looks good, we might as well look at it. Yeah, there you go. The thing actually looks crazy. This one looks crazy, and the one that Nexus keeps coming here and chilling. Huh, there you go. Every week. Is this the only? Yeah, this one also is in an uptrend. Looks good, man. Daily 42.69. Imagine if those were legit EMAs and the market respected it. Can we make a new meta? Can we get a fucking whale to just start launching longs every time we get the 42.69 EMAs? Four and five. Look at that. Magus is starting a new meta. The 42.69 EMAs, boys. Chilling in my house watching Doc stream. Yeah, there you go. The two homies both got their coins shouted out and charted. Hey, look at this. Go Bitcoin, go Bitcoin, go. Go Bitcoin, go Bitcoin, go. Squeeze that shit. Fuck the bears. Imran, 99.6 to 104 worked. You actually, yeah, you did actually ask me about that earlier. You're like, we're going to trade here, and then we're going to trade here, and then we're going to trade here. And I was like, don't go about your life predicting things like that. But hey, it worked for you. Let's get to 104 first before we give you the clout. I think Bitcoin 107 by the end of the month. How many days we got? We got 7 days. All right, we're going to hold you to that. I mean, I talked about this earlier. I don't know if you were in stream earlier in Nexus, but I talked about the same thing, that there's just a million overlapping resistances here. Monthly value area low, right? Our entire month of June, we're trading underneath that value area low. So accepting back into that, it's going to cause a squeeze. The 4-hour downtrend, right? Trading above that's going to cause a little bit of a squeeze. The composite value area low from the beginning of May, trading over that's probably going to cause a little bit of squeeze. So there's multiple overlapping resistances here, and I do think this is going to pump higher. 107, you're basically just saying top of the composite value again. I don't know, you know, as of right now, like the long that I'm in, I'm probably going to close a little bit like much lower than that, unless it happens like super quick. Breaking news: Iran taxed the UK. Yeah, was that like that was like a couple minutes ago or something? Some people were talking about that in the chat a little bit ago. I'm from Stanford, and your "fuck the bear" does sound good. Is that like a opposing team mascot? Kita? Yeah, a bunch of people in Paragon caught Kita. I think they're up like 20, 30x on that, if not more. They caught like the beginning of it. As soon as Matt gets a second of free time, he's memeing. Facts. We're going to $1 million because no one cares about crypto. So Bitcoin has to go to 1 million and people will care about crypto. Take 108.9 high, close the month with bearish div, then sell off and go to the summer holiday until September 1st. Please tell about Ina. I already covered Ina. You're going to have to scroll back a little bit. I think I talked about Ina within the last 30 minutes. Power naps. Did I miss the first part of your question? I did. Curious, have you tracked and figured out the average expected R and win rate on your trading? And would you separate out high time frame and low time frame, since high time frame can skew R multiple a lot? Yeah, I mean, I do know my average win rate expectancy. I obviously know all these things, yes. And would you separate out high time frame and low time frame, since high time frame can skew R multiple a lot? Yeah, I have an account that I only trade low time frame with. I mean, I pretty much only traded low time frame this entire year. There's only been a few swings that I've taken or higher time frame trades that I've taken. Most of them have been just low time frame intraday Bitcoin. I think I shared the P&L curve somewhere recently. And if you say risk 2% per trade and you wait. And if you say risk 2% per trade, are you risking 6% if you buy, say, Hype, Bitcoin, and FARTCoin, or would you can, since correlation can mean 6% gets wiped on a stop? I don't trade more than one coin at a time. There was a time in my trading where I would had a max rule of I can have 3 longs open at a time, and I think since Q1 of 2024, I have pretty much had only one long per position open at a time. Because the way that I look at it, if I want to long 2 things, most of the time, I'd say overwhelming majority of the time, both of those entries are going to get hit at the same time. Since this whole market is reflexive and whatever Bitcoin does, altcoins do. I'm always filtering for the best possible setup, right? So if I see 3 setups that are all longs and are all coming into support, I'm just going to take the one that has the best setup for me. I'm not going to take all 3 longs. $1 million circles. They're up 5x now, not 20? On Kita? Bro, I think they're up a lot more than 5x. Because this isn't the start of the chart. I think the chart starts from down here. I think they're up a lot. Well, maybe not anymore, but syrup. What's that, syrup? This is something that I've been fumbling because you guys gave this to me a long time ago. Huh. Yeah, there you go. A long time ago. Looks good down here. As long as the daily trend's holding, I can use this to supersede a little bit of the structure that I see here. A little bit of consolidation, expansion, retrace. These concepts matter a little bit less on lower cap coins. I'm going to assume syrup is a little bit of lower cap coin. And then number 2, when the daily trend is holding like this, I'm also going to ignore that just a little bit. Looks good. Depends if they got range high or range low. Yeah. Yeah. What about Ava? I think Ava looks like ass. thing has been dog shit since the highs. Once again, need to trade above here. I'm running low on energy. 147. Well, we got like 10 minutes left, 5-10 minutes left. I'll answer a few more questions. For the win rate in our multiple question was asking since I wanted to get a ballpark on expectancy. Curious on this for Mag and Charlie 2, never caught it mentioned. So one thing I'm going to tell you about R and win rate. My win rate has never been more than like 60%. Like my shit's like, I think win rate personally is the most useless and overrated statistic in trading. Because if you know when you're wrong immediately, you could take like 3 L's for like nothing but fees, or even get out with a win when you know what you're looking for, when you know when you're incorrect, and then you can let your winner ride. You could have a losing win rate and be successful. So I think win rate's stupid. I think my highest win rate like ever when I'm like on a heater has been like 70% or something like that for a short period, but probably my career statistic across all accounts is like 57% win rate or something on trades. I take a lot of like scratch L's, especially like with low time frame trading now. I'll enter on a trigger. I'll take some profit on like a point of breakdown on a bounce, and then I'll round trip the rest and I'll cut at break even, right? And I maybe make $1, right? Through fees and everything like that. Maybe it turns out an L, maybe it turns out a W. It doesn't really matter. But when I hit the winners, right? That's what makes the bulk of your trading. And then the next thing is about R multiples. All that depends upon is how much of your total capital you're risking, right? People are going to have different risk tolerances for how much of their total capital they put in trading accounts. So my trading accounts are a little bit different. Okay, for example, let me put it to you this way. If I have $100 to my name, right? If I have $100 to my name and all of that is in crypto and I have nothing in the bank and I have nothing elsewhere, and it's all sitting there in the account, and I'm risking 0.5% per trade or 0.25% per trade, whatever, right? And I'm never risking more than that. At a certain point, I have to ask myself, okay, if you're never risking more than 0.5 or 0.25% per trade, why is all this money sitting in the trading account? What is it doing there? Not even using that capital. So at a certain point in your trading journey, you realize that what is the point of all my capital sitting in this trading account? Let me put it to better use somewhere else. Let me spot trade, build a portfolio, do something else, positional trade with that money. And then my trading account, my active trading account, only needs enough money to basically cover 5-6 trades, right? That's all the capital I need. And then I could risk a higher percentage of that account. So that's how, like, you know, your risk to reward gets a little bit funky because it all depends on how much of your total capital is sitting in the trading account. And I don't think for anyone, they should have capital in their trading accounts they don't actively use. You should just need enough capital to cover a couple positions, right? For me, like I already mentioned to you, I'm only opening up like 1 trade at a time, right? So I don't even need that much capital in the account. And then every time I run it up, I'm draining the account. Like every couple months, I'm taking money out. I don't just let it sit in there doing nothing. So yeah. Would you describe your trading method as systematic or discretionary? It's both. And you know, it's funny that you mentioned that. I actually DM'd Magus this morning and asked him, I was like, hey, have you done a thread on the differences between discretionary and systematic trading? Because I want to do one, right? That's the next like long form write-up that I'm going to do on Twitter is probably going to be on that, systematic trading versus discretionary trading. And I wanted to make sure he didn't have a thread on it already. I think he does. He sent me like all his threads. He's like, look through here. I've probably done it. I haven't looked through it yet though. How long are you going to stream? Just like a couple more minutes. We're wrapping up. Just finishing up chat. We got nothing left to say. We covered all the bases top to bottom. Yeah, mine was 60%. My Achilles heel has hands down been risk management, where 1 to 2 bad trades go way past the expected drawdown. Yeah. That's a lot of people, man. Trading is so many things that doesn't have to do with the chart. It's so many things. Like, these are things I talk about with psychology sometimes too, is, you know, when you're building up an account, let's say you're doing well, right? You've had like a couple, 3, 4 good weeks. Like right now, I've been trading really well, I think, for the past like 3 weeks. It feels like I'm clicking on all cylinders. It feels like I have like a really good feel for everything. And the account's looking a lot better. And sometimes when you're in these moments, what you end up doing, especially if you have access to a journaling software, or you're looking at your Bybit P&L or whatever it may be, and you're looking at it all day, and you're like, damn, that looks fucking good, right? And you're feeling yourself, and you're like, oh my God, I'm firing on all cylinders. All these things look good. My trading's going well. All these things are awesome. You lose a little bit of discipline. You start changing with your sizing a little bit. You size up a little bit. You look at this portfolio, and you're like, damn, I started with 10K. I'm at 27K. I'm feeling good. And then you start going like, dude, even if I just bet like 5K on this next trade and I lose all that 5K, I'm still at 22. I'm still doing so good. Like, I can risk more. Let me risk more, right? You do that, guess what happens? You lose that trade because you're taking trades with size you're not used to. You may be worse off on your discipline. You may take setups that you're not that comfy in. Now you're at 22. Now what are you doing? You've been looking at this P&L curve for the last week, admiring it, you know, stroking yourself off because how good you are. Now you see this. Now you're on tilt. Fuck, man, that looks so good. Why did I take that stupid ass trade? I took that stupid ass trade, and now my portfolio looks like this. I felt so good. Why did I do that? I knew that I shouldn't have done that, right? You start doing all these ego defense mechanisms, right? Now what do you want to do? You're like, man, that 27 felt good. I need to get back to 27. I need to get back to 27. Okay, look, 22 is a round number. I'm gonna risk 2 on this next trade instead of, you know, like, I'm gonna risk 2K. If I get a 2R trade, I'm back at 5K. I'm back at 27. I fixed all the problems. Now you take another. You're not patient. You're not waiting for that setup that you want. You're not waiting for your bread and butter. You're looking for something earlier, quicker, faster. The next trade that comes in, boom, you lost another 2K. This is how people wipe out their entire accounts. It takes one moment of bad decision making to tilt spiral your way out of control and fuck up an entire account. You get back to 10K, what do you start telling yourself? I'm gonna risk the entire thing. I don't give a fuck this account. And then you run it to 0. How many of you in chat have done this? I guarantee you it's at least half of you. Thanks as always, back to my 9 to 5. Yeah, good, man. Have a good one out there. How did you manage to not look and trade? How did you manage to not look and trade multiple coins at the same time? This is my biggest advice by far. You just learn through experience, man. You do all the wrong things to learn the right things. That's the nature of learning. Like, a lot of people are like, oh, how did you do this? And how did you learn this? And whatever. It's just time, bro. Like, any mistake that you guys have made, I've probably made at some point too, right? The same way that people that I look up to have made those mistakes in the past too, right? We're all just a product of our experiences. And the successful ones are able to learn from their mistakes and grow upon them. And the unsuccessful ones just continue doing the exact same shit because they can't learn from their mistakes, because they go into this tilt spiral of ego defense mechanisms and blaming war and blaming news and blaming this and blaming other people and saying, you know, like, I copy traded this person, this guy's shit. And that's what losers do, right? Like the streamer, I ban you. How are we doing with the likes? Are we good this week? I can't even see it because I don't even have YouTube opened up. It's just OBS. Can I see it through this? No, I can't. What is discretionary and systematic method? Systematic is like you're like a robot. You're algorithmic. You have rules to your system. You only execute on certain things. You always do it left, right, and center. You don't care about anything else. You get a trigger, you take the trade. Discretionary is you put a little bit of your experience behind. You take trades that have a little bit more gut feel. You toy with edge, you explore edge, you say, hey, this thing worked out for me a couple times, let me explore this a little bit more. You take unconventional methods. Sometimes you get triggers that say long this coin because your system says long this coin, but you've learned something along the way that says actually in X, Y, and Z moment, this long, even though the system is giving me the trigger to long, I'm not going to take it because I know the expectancy is trash, right? So discretionary is basically experience built upon systematic trading over the course of time. And I think Maga said this really well one time. I was listening to him. He's like, what's the point of gaining experience if you don't use it? Right? So everyone should start off systematic to begin with and then move towards discretionary with time. Me 2 times, guilty of that multiple times. True. There you go. Sizing up after success can be quite tricky. Nelly, I've talked about this in Paragon so many times. I've talked about this in the clinic. I've talked about this on public streams. The hardest thing for me to do, or has been for me to do as a trader, is to size up. It takes me a while, right? So if I'm doing well, like this is how I was building my capital. Like I would take an account, I would 2x it, I would recognize that I was not able to effectively use that new capital. I drain that capital into a wallet and just hold stables until I find spot positioning for that. And then I do it again. I'd go 1 to 2, right? I'd take the 2, I'd put it back here, I'd start with 1 again. I'd go 1 to 2, I'd do this again and again and again. And guess what happens actually? All of this just kept building up. And then when it came time to buy alts and have spot positioning, well, I had bigger spot bags, right? And for me, I think there's like a 6-month lag period. 3 to 6 month lag period. I think it's 6 months. Let's be generous with that. There's like a 6-month lag period where it takes me to get mentally used to new size. So if I make a level up, like if I go from 5 digits to 6 digits, 7 digits, whatever, it takes me a while to get used to that mentally and be like, okay, this is my new capital. This is what I'm going to trade with. And I actually don't do it right away. I force myself. I'm like, just get used to it. This is your new capital. I'm going to stay with the old sizing until I get used to this. Okay, this is my sizing now. Because the hardest part for me, and you guys can probably relate to this, is entry volatility. And one thing that can help is using in Silico Terminal and just putting on denial mode, right? But entry volatility for new sizing trades always used to fuck with me, right? So like you take a trade and you're putting $100 in and your expectancy is like, I'm going to take this $100, I'm going to make $300, right? So you're used to seeing, 10, 20, 10, 20, 10, 20, whatever it is, right? Until maybe it goes up and hits your target. But then when you size up and you're like trading with $500, well, now that entry volatility is like $100 up and down, and you're looking at this and you're like, damn, that was my old take profit. That was my old whatever, right? And you're looking at this and you're like, have tempted. You're like, oh, let me take a little bit off here. Let me cut a little bit here, right? And you just start scratching yourself up across your entry. These are hard things for people to get over. Happened to me 3 times, ran 10 to 1,000, then lost it all 3 times. Bro, withdraw. Get to that $1,000 and withdraw some of it. Put it on the side and start with 10 again. If you can run 10 to 1,000 if you can run 10 to 1,000 3 times, there's nothing stopping you from running 10 to 1,000 10 times. So many times think taking most capital out would be a game changer to max withdrawn account, more capital liquidation. But 100%, bro, let me tell you, a game changer for me is like, this was last year in June. Actually January and then June. January, I took a chunk out. That was like the first time I took a big chunk out of crypto was January 2024. And then in June 2024, I took another large chunk out. And then December 2024 is when I took like max out. I took like 70% out of my money, of my capital in crypto. And every time it loosens you up. It like frees you up. You trade better. You relax. Like it's a relief. You're like, that money's in the bank. You could do stuff with it. You fucking pay your taxes. You buy shit for yourself. Like, take it out, put it there, and then just continue trading. Do the same thing you've been doing, right? Getting liquidated as a wake-up call on a smaller account, a lot better. Having so much in the account, can't get liquidated, and you end up closing out for a ridiculous drawdown. Yeah. There's no point in keeping a bunch of capital in the account if you're not using it. That's my point. I mean, that's my viewpoint. And other people probably have different takes. Squeeze this bitch. If I post my P&L, or not P&L, whatever, the card or whatever, is that jinx price? Should I just not do it? I won't do it. I'm not gonna jinx the market. ENA Outlook, we already did ENA, brother. You got to go back now, probably like 45 minutes in the stream or something to find it. Otherwise, come back tomorrow and it'll be timestamped. Why do people use leverage? It's a counterparty risk tool. Like, if I want a $100,000 position on Bitcoin, if I want to buy one Bitcoin, I can buy one Bitcoin in spot and you know, buy it on an exchange and then move it to my wallet and do all this stuff. Or I could just put $10,000 in the exchange and long one Bitcoin. Also, perp trading fees are lower, spot trading fees are higher. Like, there's a bunch of nuance. I actually have a whole video, I think, on it, on position sizing and how to think about sizing and how to think about leverage. In Paragon, I have so many videos in Paragon. By the way, guys, I have, like, I think last year I tweeted out, I was like, I have like 12 videos, full length, like 30 minutes to 40 minutes on trading in Paragon. Now it's like 40 videos. So if you guys ever wanted educational material, you know, check that out. What is our code right now? We have a code. We have a discount code, by the way. I'll show this one time. Fuck, what's our code? Mag, Charlie, are you here? I'm blanking. 4 hours of sleep. Is it in the bio? Does anyone know what our code is at the moment? Actually, I have no idea, man. Hold on. I'm gonna actually pull up the Twitter account. Oh, believe. There we go. Believe. There you go. There's the 20% off. Thanks, Charlie. Did you see Bublik win in Halle? Yeah, dude. I caught the like last 15 minutes of that match, and then I actually caught the last 15 minutes of the Alcaraz match. I didn't watch the whole things. How's Florida? Amazing, man. The only negative thing right now is my dog hates thunderstorms, but hopefully he'll get used to it. He has panic attacks, like anxiety panic attacks. He's never heard thunderstorms in his life, so he's not really enjoying it. The first few times he was physically shaking, like his body was shaking. That's how much he was panicking because he didn't know what the fuck was going on. He's gotten better, but yeah, hopefully with another couple months you'll be used to it. Still here? Yeah, we're wrapping up. We've been having good conversation the past like 20 minutes, so I've been sticking around. I actually wanted to wind down like 20 minutes ago, but then we had a couple good questions come in, and when I get good questions, I like giving good answers, and then we have more fun. Let's do a CME check. Holy shit. You know what's crazy is that we wicked down to here during the stream and I had no fucking clue. Like, I was just reading chat and doing other charts. It's great to see all the Paragon heads in each other's stream. Love the way you all come in. Yeah, dude, it's family vibes. That's the coolest thing. Like, when I joined Paragon as a student, that was the first thing that stuck out with me. Is it's like super chill, like family vibes in there. Like everyone's helpful. Like shout out to Lear. He comes out, he helps out with like so much stuff in Discord, make clips for us and everything like that. A bunch of people stick around too. Like they get the tools they need. They improve their trading. They don't really need us anymore, you know, like they've improved enough to where they're like, I don't really need Doc or Charlie or Magus or whatever, and they go do their own thing, but they stick around because they're just fucking, you know, they're family now. That's kind of what happened to me, right? That's my Paragon origin story as well. Is like I was a student there. I paid for 3 months. in Q2 of 2023. I joined them like sometime in March, paid for 3 months, and then just like stuck around. I was like, these guys are cool. I wouldn't even, like, I was purposeful in this. I was like, I can't watch Magus and Charlie's outlooks. I can't watch their streams. I'm not going to look at their analysis channel or anything like that because I don't want their ideas to influence mine. This is early 2023 when I wanted to learn about like order flow and stuff from Magus. I got what I needed. I watched all his videos. I got all the education I wanted. I didn't even put that to good use until like recently, but yeah, I just stuck around because I was like, this place is awesome. Hey, before you close that stream, can you remove the red arc capping? This thing? Just for you, baby girl. Look at this Chad candle right here, man. Bears could never. Bears could fucking never. They would never understand the pleasure of a candle like this. Is there a 1 year 40% code? No, it's 20%. It's 40% because the yearly is already discounted. So we have built-in discounts. You know, it's just a classic thing. If you pay for 1 month, it's this. If you pay for like 6 months, you get a free month. If you pay for 1 year, you get 2 free months. So we already have that included in the yearly price. The yearly price is already discounted. And then this code, believe, wherever it is, I lost it. There it is. Gives you another 20% on top. So it comes out to like 40% off. Do you also farm airdrops? I'm sure some people do. I don't. I don't. Oh, Jingo. I completely forgot to message Charlie about that. Yeah, Charlie, if you're still in chat, Jingo had like an idea. Maybe you just can DM him, Jingo. Charlie's nice. He'll probably respond to your DM. Can we pay via crypto? Yes, sir. Yes, you can. All right, boys. Shall we end it there on a bullish note? Docstream always bullish confirmed. We'll pick this back up next week. Get ready to collect some P&L cards for being the only bull on Sunday and calling bottom on CT and pre-Rich's comments. Charlie muted me a long time ago, I think. What'd you do to deserve that? Trading crypto instead of stocks is a sign of masochism. I don't know about that, man. I think crypto is much easier. All right, boys. Let's cap it off there. Until next week, have a good one. If you missed the outlook and everything, all the serious outlook stuff is in the beginning of the stream. If there's a coin that you wanted to see, check out tomorrow. Everything will be timestamped. Come back, check the timestamps, find the coin that you want to look at. Like the video on your way out. Subscribe if you haven't already. Sign up to Paragon with code BELIEVE for 20% off literally everything. Come check us out. And yeah, that's it. Have a good one out there, boys. Later.